After a couple days of volatility, what do you like to see? You like to see things calm down. Well, that wasn't yesterday afternoon, but today we're just creeping higher in the overnight session. Shocker. We're going to talk earnings, Taiwan Semi, keeping the chips rolling. CRM. We're going to get a little bit of rant on CRM today. That's trading up nicely. Earnings, not so much unless you own JB Hunt or Charles Schwab. 8:35. Frank Holmes. You guys know Frank Holmes. He's going to be joining us. He's going to talk about Bitcoin, Hive, and other things crypto related. HPE not having a good day. We'll figure that out for you here on this Thursday's Pre-Market Prep.
The volatility right now is really incredible.
Wow, look at that consolidation on the upper right chart.
You know what we've seen this earnings season? Some of these expected moves get even more violent. This is why I have switched my strategy 10 years ago. And if you're chasing, you're in trouble.
Right, good morning, traders and investors. As I said, we are nicely in the green after a choppy session yesterday, 67.41, up 26 handles, traded near the highs of the week. The buck, it had that nice little run, but now in a 3-day decline, down 11 cents, 98.42. TLT just holding on here, up 26 cents, 90.92. USO took out the bottom of the trading range, trying to recover unsuccessfully, up 17 cents. GLD, now I saw it way up. Now I see a tick down to 39 cents. We'll have to check that. 387, SLV pulling back. Bitcoin, no one's talking about Bitcoin anymore until Frank Holmes comes on at 8:35. Triple D, not big earnings after the close, but you had some action there with the Brentster in the STN room.
Always action in the Stock Trader Network trading room. We have all kinds of stuff going on, random news, scheduled news, trades that we just didn't even see coming from nowhere. There's trades all over the place in there. So
what I like about it, you know what, I like to listen to it and sometimes hop in. It's, you guys are funny. You guys are very entertaining because something happens and then you tell them to dig, and he's like digging, and then you could see the wheel in your head going around and around and around, and then you guys dissect the news and set up things for the next trading day. You guys doing it? I
mean, really, what we are from 4 to 5 is a breaking news room with live trader analysis of breaking news. I don't know if that's out there. Like most of these news services give you the news. We are giving you the news and then giving you analysis of the news. Maybe that's what we should be advertising at. It could be a separate product in itself, the 4 to 5 show, like just on breaking news and how you trade that news. Like, what does it mean? What does this go? And I mean, we can go an example here from last night, and this broke afterwards, but we could analyze it here. And I'm going to do the analysis of it right now. CRM. So CRM comes out, popping up last night. They had their own little investor day, or in like I don't know, they were doing a conference, and Benioff's talking. They are projecting, they are raising up their guidance, I guess. They're looking for 60 billion in sales by 2030. Stock is ripping higher here. It's up 6%. It's like, whoa, there's some numbers there. Well, let's do the analysis here and let's see if it really is the numbers here. Brentster, you've been digging in the background, doing the numbers. So they had 40 billion in sales this year, 40 billion approximately.
They're expecting 40 billion. The last guidance that we got a little bit ago was for 40 billion in sales for 2026. So if you're kind of like doing the math here to get to 60 billion by 2030, they basically have to add 5 billion in sales each year. So 40 billion 2026, 45 billion 2027, 50, 55 to get to the 60 billion in 2030. And like
that growth rate works out to 8.45% a year. That's the revenue growth rate. That doesn't sound that great. That sounds like,
especially for like an AI play. If this is supposed to be some AI play, if this is why Benioff was pissed that his stock price isn't responding because we're an AI play, I'm being sarcastic here. 8% for an AI play just doesn't sound that great to me.
Doesn't sound that great to me either. So it's up $14.50 here. Why did he say this? Well, one, CRM's growth rate's only been 2%. It's been that crappy. CRM has had really low growth rate. I mean, Apple hasn't growth in sales for years. So, I mean, but the stock goes up because it's the AI play. Benioff has been on Jim Cramer's Mad Money the last 2 times he's been on, and he just keeps going on about his stock price and how cheap it is, and he doesn't understand it. He was 2 times ago comparing himself to Palantir and going on this huge rant on Palantir and saying we're a better company than Palantir. Palantir is trading 150 times sales, and here we are sitting here like this. He just, and so obviously, he's very upset about his stock price. So it's not surprising that they're going to come out and say something to try to get their stock price to go higher. I'm just going to say, if this is their goal, this isn't a great goal, 8% a year, folks. So I know it's up to 352, and the algos just see, oh, yes, that's an increase in growth rate because your sales have been growth at 2%. But if you're such an AI play, and we see it all the time, Matthew McConaughey on the commercials, like AI this, AI that, Salesforce.com, the greatest AI company of all time. It's not. And a lot of people are concerned that AI is actually going to eat their lunch. We're getting a lot of people in the chat talking about this. Adobe, Salesforce, there's an argument out there, and it's a strong argument, obviously being made by not just us, by analysts. Who do we have on? It was Joel Colino, wasn't it? Talking about
I think so, yeah.
Stocks that AI is going to eat their lunch. Now, I think the market is pricing that in, and that's why Adobe seems like it goes down every single day. That's why CRM has not participated in the rally in the entire year. CRM started the year at 350. It's down at 236, now up at 251 because of the guidance raise. But this smells a little bit more like desperation to get my stock price higher. And the goals aren't that great. Think about what Oracle was saying. Oracle was talking about this exponential growth here, like crazy growth. Now you're saying 5 years from now, we may grow revenue 30% from where we are today. That doesn't sound that great to me, or I guess it's 50%, 40 to 60. But I mean, if that's your goal, I don't think that's that great. It's barely keeping up with inflation. So I'm going to say not impressed with the CRM guidance here. And I think it's reeks of desperation. And I think, the stock of 6.65% today is another selling opportunity for CRM. So I would be a seller of Salesforce.com.
You think the algos read that deeply, Dennis?
No, that's why it's up. They don't read at all. The algos, so there is so much money being made from just fading algorithmic moves and using somewhat logic. Now, there is more news here right now. Thank you, chat. Just letting us know. Salesforce, because they're going to expand their Google partnership and integrate AI agents. So they're trying. So the one thing you're going to say when you get, you back a raccoon up into the corner, and that's what we're going to say, Benioff. It's like the raccoon. He's going to come out the claws fighting. His stock is down. They're going to do stuff. So that's the one risk of coming and shorting Google's like maybe or shorting CRM. Maybe they come with a buyback. Maybe they come in anything. Right now, his goal is to get his stock price higher. He is pissed off. Can he do it? Can he fight the mechanics? But I'm telling you, I believe that AI is actually eating their lunch. And I wouldn't be surprised if they don't hit that $60 billion target. But they're going to try. They're going to go down swinging here. So, but I still think CRM, I wouldn't be a buyer of it. Nope.
I want to just point out real quick on this last news item, the Salesforce and Google expand their strategic partnership. This press release was right at 8 a.m. in 0 seconds. And the stock didn't start moving for literally 5 or 6 minutes. When we have that kind of delay on a news item, in my opinion, it means that algos didn't react. And if algos didn't care about this headline, yes, I see that the stock is moving higher since that release happened. But when you have that kind of delay, it just makes me skeptical about the materiality of a news item like that.
The
charts, Joel.
It doesn't. Well, yeah, the charts for a second, but they don't pay a dividend, right? CRM.
I don't believe so.
It's small. Let me look. They do. It's 0.66%. It's really small.
Okay, and what's their valuation?
Valued at 200.
No, not yet. No, I'm sorry. The forward PE.
It's low. Like it's a lot lower than 18, other companies because they aren't growing. Yeah, it's 18 times on forward basis. Okay, 34 times current, 18 times on a forward. Price to sales is only 5. And this is why he's really ticked off, because he thinks he's a better company, like Benioff does. He really believes he's a better company than Palantir. He said it. And he's looking at Palantir trading.
Mhm.
Obviously, they're not the same businesses here, but Palantir's trading 131 times sales. Salesforce trading 5 times sales. I mean, there's value here. So you can't doubt that there's, Salesforce is more of a value play than, a lot of other stocks out there. But I just feel like, after, even listening to Joel Kalina and other people too about, software, being, not a beneficiary of AI, I think there's a lot of things to consider here. So I think when they come out with these lofty goals of growing revenue at 8% a year, it doesn't sound that great to me. Sorry, it doesn't sound that great.
The reason I brought that up is Johan asks, is one of those stocks stuck between value and growth? And it has a low P. I mean, just put it that these are not bad numbers, okay? And the stock is up and it's a pump and it's a catalyst. But when you hear these numbers coming out of Oracle and you hear these numbers come out of AMD, I mean, you're yawning. I mean, it's seriously in comparison. So, but the thing is that it's a catalyst in a stock that has been beaten down. So, do you rush out and sell your shares today? Is this, the kickoff of something big? And I just might compare this. Remember when Lilly was getting killed and it had that insider buy? And we're like, oh, man, that's not a very big insider buy.
But it's good enough. They just needed
and we
some
kind of
type of
poo-pooed
vote
it.
of confidence.
And then look what happened to Lilly. So to me, I'm just going to look at this long term. It's I'm afraid of gaps. Yeah, if this came back down to 244, yeah, would I cover it? Would I buy, with the top of yesterday's range? Heck yeah. But I think for the bulls really to get this to stick, they got to get this. I want to see a 250 bid. I want to see the institution stepping
Needs
up.
to hold 250.
Yep.
Don't lose 250.
Yep.
I'm with you.
Yep.
I am not going in. I used to be an investor in Salesforce. I was in it for a long time. But, you can just see, like, when your stock is sitting near its April lows and all the other tech stocks are making new highs every single day, you in the wrong stock. You in the wrong stock. Sorry, Benioff, you in the wrong stock. Then Benioff listens to this, he will be going nuts if he did. Not that he's listening to pre-market prep, but I mean, this is just, he is, you can just tell from the interviews how upset he is that stocks like Palantir are exploding higher every day and his stock sits in the gutter. So, I mean, that is the one thing, I'm going to say it again, is they may try to do more stuff to try to get growth going because he's got a fire lit under him right now. And I think this is the start of that. So maybe, that's the consideration of maybe not shorting it. But there's definitely writing on the wall here that investors do not like Salesforce. That is obvious. The stock is down 40% this year, where most other NASDAQ stocks are significantly higher. Other stocks that could benefit from this, obviously Workday. We talk about Workday. Adobe, is moving up a little bit here. Adobe's been in the same gutter. I mean, with no growth and potential. So they're kind of moving and linked along. So you're seeing a little lift in Adobe today, a little lift in Workday. Keep an eye. If Salesforce holds up, maybe it lifts those stocks for a day or two. But these stocks are in the gutter. Adobe started the year up 550. It's 330. Software. AI is eating the lunch.
Is Adobe Acrobat still free? Because that's the only thing I use from Adobe.
Well, that's it. Like, I think about all those years, but they made money for a long time, Joel, with them all being free. So they've done a good job. But yeah, I know that's the only thing I've used from Adobe too. So.
Man, you're sitting at your April low. I mean, I will say the most positive thing I can say about Adobe is you got a triple bottom on the monthlies here at 330. So if you want to risk $3, there you go. If you think it's going back up, there it is. But man, not a good looking chart. You mentioned Adobe, you mentioned Workday. I won't do my Workday trick because you say, oh, you're doing your Workday trick again. 240 looks like the level in Workday, but look for follow through, off the open. Let's see if the big boys are biting on this too. And I will tell Josh to cancel the email to salesforce.com to sponsor the show. Okay.
They don't want to sponsor that segment? Reach out there, cut that segment, send it to Benioff and say we're looking for sponsors.
I'll let Brent do that. Brent is so good at that.
All right. Freedom of speech, folks. Sorry, Benioff. Okay. Oracle trade works again. We've been long Oracle every night in the STN room this week. They had their Oracle week. The stock opens higher, closes, opens higher. Stock is trading up again. I just sold Oracle at 308.30 about an hour ago. Held it overnight again. Worked again. Still have it on the long-term account. We're talking extra trades. We're going to get like 12:45 or
Yes.
what time an actual like commentary from Oracle. Like they're going to get up on stage and start speaking. Correct?
Yeah, it was. I put it in the notes here. It's like it's feature presentation. What is it, Brent?
Yep, the feature presentation starts at 12:45, and they're calling it an analyst day.
Okay, analyst day.
Yep. So yeah, they want to speak to the sell side. They want to speak to the analysts. I wonder why. They've had all these updates recently. They've had literally 30 press releases over the last week or so. They haven't really given us any indication on some of the outlook for developments. Could they give a little guidance today? I think it's a very good possibility. I think if you don't want to trade this or make an investment decision here, I think at the least you have this on your radar for just before 1 p.m. that we could get some more info out of Oracle here this afternoon.
Awesome. We'll keep an eye on Oracle for sure. Again, I think it's been Oracle week. We've been talking about this. So Oracle's showing some strength here overnight multiple times, showing strength here again overnight. I never like being long into these things because you never know what they might say. Sometimes it works too, but it's more of a coin flip. The strength. I like to be long ahead of events, not into the event. That applies to all things, all catalyst-driven things.
Keep an eye on
Semiconductor.
Yeah, I want to just real quick, this 310 area. I mean, this has been a tough trade since that since the big gain to a new all-time high. This red bar, when it came down here, that's when something was wrong with selling Nvidia chips or something like that. I still didn't understand why they hit this and they didn't hit Nvidia. But what I would keep an eye on long term right now for here, or at least for the next week or so, is like punching through this 310 area. Three highs, not exactly in the same area. Yesterday's high, 311. Your 2-day high, 310.70. Haven't reached that yet in the pre-market. So long term, I'd like to see a 310 bid here in Oracle.
Taiwan Semiconductor. Brentster, if you've got those numbers, you can get them for us. We saw ASML yesterday, lifted up, did fade a little bit towards the end of the day, so it did give back some of the gains. Taiwan Semiconductor was up on ASML yesterday. It is up on its own earnings here today. I mean, the bar is super high here. Stock is at all-time highs. They were firing on all cylinders. I'm assuming the earnings were good, but
earnings were good. They beat for the quarter 292 versus 259 estimate. Sales coming in over 33 billion. Analysts were looking for around 31.5 billion. The guidance, in my opinion, was really the kicker. They're expecting Q4 sales 32.2 to 33.4 billion. Analysts are under 32 billion, so the guidance looked pretty darn strong, in my opinion.
Just think if Warren stayed in this stock. Remember? I think he was in this thing under $60. And I don't know why. I mean, I think he got out of it because he.
Think if we all just stayed in this stock. Think if we all just stopped everything we were doing in the COVID when we were sitting at home, and we actually just stayed long all these tech stocks the whole time, like especially the big ones. I mean, some of that small crap was dumb and obviously imploded and never came back. But I mean, the real good, solid companies like the Nvidia. In 2020, Nvidia was $10. In 2020, AMD was $50. In 2020, Microsoft was $200. In 2020, the QQQ was $200. It's tripled. In 2020, Taiwan Semiconductor was $50. Buy and hold long term. We need to stop trading our long term accounts. There's a good, segment right there for us. Is that trade your trading accounts and hold on to good stocks at reasonable valuations in your long term accounts. That's what it's all about.
A lot of the price action already in TSM, right? Trading overseas. So this just looks like it's kind of hanging out 311 area. I guess I would look at the expected move. And if you have targets in this area, take them. If you think this is the world's greatest report, you're buying off the open. I would look to follow through 312 because that's the only number we have. If you want to look for support, the area of the former all-time highs comes in at the 307 area. That comes in nicely with the top of yesterday's range. So if you're brave enough to short the stock and you're looking for it to come in, that'd really be the only number I could give you on the downside.
Chip stocks all trading higher on this Nvidia. Actually, AMD has rolled over and went red. It was up $2 this morning and has went red. But Micron's just been putting in work here again. I mean, the stock is just a monster. But look at all this consolidation station here, 185 to 190, like 5, 6, 8 days of consolidation. We know how this story ends. They sit there and flag and just get ready, and then they go up again. This is a bull market, folks. This is what happens. This is why it's tough to short stocks. Everybody's trying to call a top continuously. Hell, we try to call tops every once in a while here. There's just no sense fighting it. Like, even on my long-term, I've been saying that. On my, like, market neutral strategy. That Noob's in the chat, and he does market neutral too. And he's the same thing, saying, man, it's just way easier to buy stocks right now than it is to do any type of market neutral strategy. And market neutral, the reason you do market neutral is because of consistency. When you go into down markets, you make money. You know, when you go into up markets, you make money. So you're consistent. But in up markets, you make less with market neutral for sure, because you got shorts on there and everybody just making it flat out long. So the reason you do market neutral is because during the tough times, you make money too, as opposed to everybody else losing money. But I mean, right now, unbelievable just to be long. Long stocks, long tech stocks, it just works. Micron looks like it's set up to go higher again.
Michael Crockett chipping into the kitty here, talking about the upcoming listing of SEV, because it's an upcoming listing. I can't really pull it up or talk about the price action, but I would just see what stocks are, most comparable to that. It's called Aptera Motors. Don't know much about it. EV company. I don't know. We'll do some research for you on it, Michael, but until we get to trading action, then it's hard to give us anything. But Michael Crockett, longtime listener, thanks. Thanks for that information.
What stock was that?
It hasn't started trading yet. SEV. Aptera.
I think
coming out today.
Yes.
Yeah, I think Michael was just trying to give us a nice friendly heads up that this one will be coming out today. The company has been doing a road show to like go around and kind of like pitch their stock a little bit before something goes public. So didn't have this one on our radar. Richard is saying Aptera is a three-wheel solar powered company. Thanks for the info, Michael. We'll do a little bit of research on it here.
Three-wheeled solar powered company?
That's at least what Richard said. Yes. I don't know. A solar car company.
Oh,
cool.
solar,
good info.
Okay. Well, I'd hate to go somewhere and have the sun go down, but do we have a pricing on it?
I haven't been. I just looked really
we'll get more
quickly.
information.
Yeah.
I don't know. We'll see.
We got on our radar. I usually don't trade them the first few days. I'll let the dust settle a little bit and then start adding them to the scanners and start trading them after that. JB Hunt, let's go to earnings from last night. This is your big mover of the day. And if you think the economy is slowing down, if you think the recession's happening, it's not happening at JB Hunt. JB Hunt, one of your biggest transportation companies in the U.S., is saying it's going well. And the earnings were good here. Brentster, you're still kicking around. If you're digging in the background, I can get you the JB Hunt earnings.
I got them.
Too.
Nope, okay, I got them. JBHT earnings, 176 versus 147. Nice beat there on the bottom line. Sales, not as nice of a beat, but still a beat. 3.05 billion versus 3.02 billion. I'm looking through the press release real quick to see if there was any guidance. Does not look like they gave any guidance. No guidance from JB Hunt.
Real economy stocks have started picking it up in the last 6 weeks. We've been talking about it here, there, everywhere. You can see it clearly. It's interest rate driven here. So TLT up again here today. The TLT lows are clearly in 83, 84, 85, and it makes sense. It's just common sense. You can trade the TLT with common sense.
Did you hold on to that? Did you get that? I thought you were nibbling down there.
The reason I didn't buy TLT is because we're making way more money with our money and everything else. So it's like I could sit in here in TLT and probably make 10% over the course of the next 6 months. But I mean, we're piling in on these things, everything, and it's just this kind of market right now where 10% over 6 months feels like a loss. So that's the only reason not. If you think we're going into the gutter, though, interest rates are going lower. They're going lower. We got blue yesterday. They're going lower. Lots are going to drive. I know it's just short-term rates, and the argument the bond trader will say, hey, but they don't control the long end, but the long end does like follow. And we're seeing that. If you just blindly, so all you bond traders out there, if you just blindly said at the end or middle of 2021, when the Fed said we're going to start raising rates and sold your TLT at 150, now we are at the opposite. We are starting to lower rates. If you just blindly closed your eyes and buy the TLT because the Fed has said they are lowering rates, going into a lowering rate cycle, you'd be long this thing at 85. There is a very decent possibility the TLT will be 100 next year. Is it going back to 150? No, because interest rates aren't going that low. But is it going back to 100? I think so. So if you're conservative, if you're 80 years old and looking, no, you don't want to trade this AI stuff, but you want to make a little bit of money and beat inflation, TLT probably is your play. It's got a 4.24% dividend, but you're not in it for that. You're in it for the capital growth. I think it could go up 10% from here. So I think you could pick up 14% over the course of the next 7-8 months. Oh, that's not that bad. And if the markets go to roll over, you'd be pretty happy in the TLT.
Oh, you didn't stick in the old Joel's 80 jab there.
I almost tried to. I do it. I've been doing it too much. So,
do you want to know my comeback, or do you want to know the next time you're brave enough to do it?
If it's really, really mean, I don't want to.
It's not really mean. If I'm 80, you're 70.
Yeah, I know that it would be bad, actually.
Okay. Was that bad?
Okay, I'll stop picking on. Today, as of today, I'm not going to pick on Joel anymore.
Okay, tomorrow. Let's make a market on
It's day off for here. Joel. No,
yeah,
no
right.
pick on. So Thursdays are now designated no pick on Joel day. Friday, just get him.
Okay. Yeah, because you missed 2 days over the weekend, so you gotta follow it up Friday and Monday. Yeah. Not much to say about this chart. If you've been holding on to this since July, you got caught in the double top at 158. That was your target. You have the 150 options. I just like to see this whole 158 and just keep on going. That's a big level. If you're an eternal bull and you think transportation is the new Bitcoin AI thing, then you're long ways away from even a 50% retracement or an all-time high. But that double top 158 sticking out like a sore thumb to me with that horizontal line.
So if real economy stocks are going up and if interest rates are actually starting to go down here, I mean, the rally is broadening out. And it's what we are seeing everywhere, not just JB Hunt, starting to show us some life here. But I mean, the XBI is on a tear. It's on a tear. And again, same thing applies. If you don't like the TLT and you think it's too boring, well, the XBI is not boring. It moves. If you just blindly close your eyes and said, I'm getting out of XBI because interest rates are going to start going higher, and they're very interest rate sensitive, those companies that are in the XBI, 130 you'd be selling it at. And if you're blindly just saying, I'm going to start buying XBI because interest rates are going to start going lower, you'd be long from 85 and be at 109 right now. I am long XBI here right now. I continue to stay long XBI here at this point in time because interest rates are going down. If for whatever reason we see inflation start coming back, that puts holes in the thesis. But right now, we don't even have any inflation data because the government's shut down. So green light go for all these stocks.
You're not worried about the administration with the healthcare biotech stocks?
Not the smaller ones, especially because none of them make money anyways. So none of them, it's not like drug pricing. They don't have drugs to sell. They're still, all these companies are basically pre-revenue companies that are just trying to get drugs to market here. So I don't think XBI is a great question. I don't think XBI is affected by lowering drug prices as Pfizer's and Merck's and Lilly's and all those other ones. So I think XBI is more speculation as well. So lots of reasons to like the XBI here. And do you want to chase it? We just went up 8% last week. You always get dips, but dips on XBI to be bought, in my opinion.
All right. We have Frank Holmes joining us in the studios. He'll be joining us shortly. We all know him, CEO of Hive Technologies, as well as U.S. Funds. Got a lot of stuff to talk about with Frank. Do we want to stay on this crazy biotech mover and just get it out of the way here?
What do you got today?
PRAX.
Wow. There's one every day. There's one of these biotechs moving, especially on Mondays, but one's every day. Prax. So obviously good trials, I would assume, or something like that. It's up 165%. Things up 94 points. Prax Precision Medicines announces positive top-line results for 2 pivotal phase 3 studies of, we won't pronounce it, HCL, and the Essential 3 program for essential tremor. So Praxis, positive 3 results also. Positive 3. Phase 3, positive. Stock up 92 points, up 161%. Joel, I'll throw the technicals to you because I have no idea.
Right.
Like
Throw the technicals. Yeah, right. Keep your eye on that high at 9:29 and 59 seconds and see if you get follow through that. Right now, the high stands at 155.98. That's $6 off its high. You really want to make sure you get follow through on that.
Another earnings report here. I'm going to skip over UAL. I want to go to Charles Schwab because the brokers and the banks are just firing on all cylinders here. We actually saw a bank earnings season where the banks rallied on good earnings, and a lot of them, Goldman and JP Morgan, started the party not that well, but Morgan Stanley killing it yesterday. We saw Bank America killing it yesterday. They're starting to actually hold up on some of the gains on these. Charles Schwab reported earnings here this morning as well. SCHW, give you those numbers here. They beat by 8 cents, beat on revenue as well. Stock trading up 3% here in the pre-market. Quick technicals on Schwab, and then we're going to go to get Frank Holmes.
Mr. T was playing this in the STN room, and he talked about the expected move right around 98.80. So I'll go with that. That's the pre-market high comes in at 98.80. What's the all-time high? The all-time high in Schwab. Ooh, 98.88. Whew, what a great number. Great confluence here. Highs in that area as well. So keep an eye and see, good market today. It takes that out. Why not triple digits for Talk to Chuck?
Brenster, run that intro.
Frank, with the Hive Technologies cap on. We all know Frank Holmes. He is the CIO and CEO of US Funds. Frank, how you doing today?
Outstanding. I mean, have you guys, besides Hive, have you been following gold? It's been bold.
I like gold.
You're not
we
wrong.
love
You're
gold.
very wrong.
Frank, is there anybody hotter than you right now? Hive's blasting off, gold's blasting off. You've been hot here lately. Jets is starting to look good. Frank, talk to us. You want to start with gold? You got the gold hat on right now. Start with a little bit of gold talk here because you're into the physical gold. You're into mining the digital gold. This is your gold man here. Digital, physical. He's all over the place here. Talk to me about gold because gold continues to go higher.
You know, Dennis, it's interesting that this century, gold has been positive 88% of the time and has outperformed the S&P 500 2-1. And I've spoken on your program a couple years ago that gold still had a high batting average. And the reason for that is the G20 countries around the world and other countries are trying to play MMT, modern monetary theory, which basically says print a lot of money to solve your problems. And currency devaluation is not just America, it's the world. And the big data point that keeps coming out this past summer is that the global debt is hit $337 trillion because of MMT. Wow. And it represents 200 and almost 50% of the global GDP is paper debt. America gets criticized the most, and they're only at 140. So they're actually on a leverage basis less than Japan and other countries. But this idea of money printing only makes alternative asset classes like gold more valuable. And that is really key of what's been going on. Then we add the flavor. It's called the intersection of a stealth war that's been going on. Not Gaza and Israel, not Ukraine, it's China. And China has weaponized to de-dollarize the dollar from dominant trading. Since Xi Jinping became the dictator in 2012, he's massively increased military spending. They now have more military ships than America. They turned around and created a bunch of security companies like the Wagner Group from Russia that are all over the world. Their One Road, One Belt has lent over $1 trillion to 140 countries around the world. And they're pushing for more dictatorships. And democracy is at an all-time low. So we have this sort of battle with the BRICS nations weaponizing, and they're becoming like OPEC. OPEC was for oil. BRICS are for metals and minerals, commodities, food. They only trade in the renminbi. And it's not going to work. I don't believe it is. But that war is seeing, and central banks are waking up and becoming fearful of this sort of trade war. We all see a trade war. We all see the tariff war, but it's really something much bigger because we're only seeing the tip of the iceberg. And so this intersection of huge data spending now and data centers is part of this trade, this sort of currency war that's going on. So central banks are worried and they want their foreign reserves to be gold because all the meetings that are outside of America with China is anti-America, American dollar. And that's what we're witnessing. And the difference between the previous president and Trump today is Trump wants a street brawl and he's taking them on. And that is just what it is. And in addition to that, he's very much pro economic development, and that's leading to this incredible stock boom. But we're seeing that this buildup for Hive, and in addition to gold, central banks are buying gold to protect. China continues to buy gold to protect their currencies. So we're in that gold cycle. We're also in a data center, AI, Bitcoin data center build out to get caught up with China. China basically has built massive dams blocking water from flowing into Malaysia, to Cambodia, to Bangladesh, and to India, and reposition the water flow into China for huge hydro dams, and have accelerated the increase of electricity availability on a massive scale that they surpassed the U.S. So right now we're seeing U.S. government investing in Intel, and then getting NVIDIA to invest in Intel. We're seeing them taking positions in strategic minerals, the Department of Defense. So we are trying to, right now at this beginning, catch up to what is happening with China, and China immediately creates a strategic minerals war. We're not going to give you the supply for what you're having. So we're seeing U.S. government investing along with capital markets investing in this sector. Well, along comes AI and the build out for data centers and electricity, and it's full torque boom. And we're seeing now buying out of Bitcoin miners. All these bad guys are Bitcoin miners. You're evil. Well, guess what? The Bitcoin miners were the Christopher Columbuses. They were the Jacques Cartier that discovered Canada. They were the first. They got the arrows in the back of the head for what they did. But they turned around stranded electricity in West Texas from surplus electricity from wind farms. Flare gas is bad for the economy. And solar panels, well, there was all this surplus, and they turned around and said, we're going to build the substations and the infrastructure for Bitcoin mining and create economic wealth in Little Abilene, Texas. Well, Little Abilene, Texas today has the biggest spend in America, $500 billion for data centers. We have to spend more money in America on tier 3 data centers to meet the AI boom for all industries. So who is first to go? Who is first to go in North and South Dakota, in these various states? We're Bitcoin miners. So now CoreWeave comes out and they're going after Core Scientific, which was a Bitcoin miner. You see activist investors going into Riot and saying no more, your 700 megawatts have to go for HPC, high performance computing. And with that whole excitement comes yesterday, NVIDIA blows the numbers out, Taiwan Semiconductor. So we're in a full throttle tier 1 to tier 3 build out for AI. Well, the backdrop is this sort of stealth war that's been going on in trade. and we're going to have to use AI to rebuild our military. So it's very exciting job creation time.
All right, Frank, let's get to Bitcoin. Your production in September, 267 Bitcoin, climbing 8% month over month. You set some lofty goals for Thanksgiving. You want to have people talking about Bitcoin mining at the Thanksgiving table. Dennis already had his. Switch the hat up, Frank. Talk about those lofty goals that you set for the company and how you doing with them.
Well, it's very exciting because I have gold ETFs, and seeing gold, all of a sudden the profit margins and gold stocks ripping through IBD, making the top 50 stocks, not tech stocks as much, now gold stocks. And along with that is these alternative assets. There's no doubt Hive, and Hive has positioned itself for incredible growth. What happened in West Texas, we're doing in Paraguay. We're basically building the needed infrastructure in Paraguay. And what's interesting of this little country is the president is a young, good-looking, athletic guy, 47 years old, Santiago Peña. He was at the table last week with President Trump in Gaza for the peace settlements. So this little country is an ally of America, which is anti-Hamas, pro-Taiwan, pro-Israel, pro-America, and they have surplus electricity. So that's where Hive has gone. So we've been able to go from 6 exahash this year to 21, and we're on our way to 25. And I think that we'll be able to go to 30, 35 in the next 12 months. We'll actually have the ability to double that again. So that's where our footprint is. But we know that today, with a small group of employees that are running this whole ship, we're doing $1.1 million a day. So once we went through $1 million a day, you started to see strategic position traders like Citadel's private wealth for the partners all of a sudden buy 5% of Hive. And so we see ourselves being much higher valued. And if you're getting excited about HPC, Hive was the first to do it. And that business has doubled. And we're going to increase it in the next 12 months 5-fold. We have plans in place to take that from 20 million with only 2 employees, basically up to 100 million in revenue and high margin business and our Bitcoin. So our vision by this year is to be up to about 1.4 million a day in revenue. And this time next year, cresting through $2 million of revenue a day. That's the vision that we planned out.
So talking about the hottest topic we have on Wall Street besides quantum, AI, how are you integrating AI into your production process?
Well, first of all, when we look at data centers for Bitcoin mining, they're called tier 1. So it's the basic electrical infrastructure, and those chips are not as expensive as NVIDIA 100, 200, now the Blackwells. We're talking about a 10-fold increase per chip and basically another 10-fold increase in the infrastructure. Because when you go into AI infrastructure building, you're building a brain. Joel, it takes so much longer. When a ASIC chip for Bitcoin mining arrives, in 6 hours, we've unwrapped it, plugged it in, cash flowing. When NVIDIA chips arrive, it's 6 weeks and maybe they're working because you're building a brain. And when you build the brain gives off lots of heat. So the air conditioning units and all the wiring that's around a tier 3 HPC data center is extremely expensive. And you have to have much bigger cooling systems, almost a 2-to-1 ratio. And that is what's the big difference. Then you just can't quickly go to AI as people think. And the cost is much greater. But we're doing it. And we've been doing it in downtown Sweden and Stockholm for the past couple of years because we were at one time the biggest miners of Ethereum. And when Ethereum went away, we pivoted to AI because we had expertise in GPU chips and NVIDIA chips. So we started providing the service. And now we have about 10,000 people that subscribe and use our data centers all over the world. But now we have to get scale, and that's what we're doing, in particular in Canada, where sovereign data centers are so important. And cybersecurity is becoming much more important. Like when we hear today, yesterday, F5, what's happened to them of being hacked by the Chinese for over a year. Well, it's just an ongoing build out to protect their data centers.
Okay, it can't all be rosy for Bitcoin. Okay, there's got to be some kind of negative. I'm negative Nelly here. All right, the government shutdown and tariffs are not good for Bitcoin. They're not good for Hive. What are we going to do, Frank? We can't send you to Washington because you're on pre-market prep. So talk to us about the government shutdown and the impact of tariffs.
Joel, we have in all of our prospectuses as our investment philosophy that we say that we believe that government policies are a precursor to change. That's what we monitor and track the fiscal and monetary policy of the G20 countries. So I'm going to provide politics from that perspective. The shutdown of the government is just a temporary debate. And the stock market is saying it's going to just be that what it is, because the stock market is not falling apart.
It's going up. The stock market's going up in the shutdown.
Absolutely. And so what's happening is that we're experiencing these rolling industry recessions. So we had in the summer, the high-end products, luxury goods went through a recession, layoffs, managed inventory, and now LVMH comes out and it's boom time again. So what people are expecting and their memories are from COVID and from 2008 when it was a global recession. This is not a global event. These are industry rolling recessions. So as one industry is blowing it up and taking off, another one's going through recession, it's now taking off, and the market continues to trade higher. So I remain very bullish. Anything that's going to contain the government, create a discipline with the government agencies, because now we have these Nobel laureates. The three economists just came out and basically wrote the musical score, the math, like a Mozart, between Schumpeter's innovation cycle. And they now have the math that they know that how capitalism works and how you need to have innovation. And America is the most innovative. And we now have political leadership to streamline regulations, to make the stock market more vibrant, to have more IPOs, and to have more M&A activity. So the banks yesterday are saying great earnings. The M&A business is booming. Well, that's government changing the regulations and rules and stepping on regulators or overstepping the rules to try to make rules by enforcement. It's done a 180. And now we have a president that pushes through the Genius Act for the Web3 crypto ecosystem. It's so bullish for Bitcoin miners, especially Hive. It's phenomenal for us. And it's phenomenal for the industry because all of a sudden innovation is getting a new validation with Nobel Prize winners. And so I remain extremely constructive on the leadership that we have on the economy in America. But we still, I can tell you, Joel, in countries like Canada and Sweden, the agencies have so much power, it doesn't matter what the politicians say. And the central bank has weaponized tax authorities there to go after anyone that's been in the Bitcoin mining industry. And if you try to switch to HPC, they still want to try to attack you. They haven't woken up to what economists are saying today and the significance of where that leadership, but it's going to happen. The leadership of what's happening here in Latin America is showing up with Milei in Argentina, is showing up definitely in Paraguay, which has a strong GDP growth and economic development, and it's going to start to show up in Europe. We saw it 6 months ago with the industrial buildup. They're going to create an industrial military complex like America, where the parts for a tank are made all across the country, rolled up and assembled in one state. Germany's going to be the roll-up country in Europe, and they're going through this huge build. We're seeing German military and British military stocks go up 100% during this summer. Why? Because the big spend. So following government policies, there's a huge spend in Canada and Europe for NATO to be able to get up to 2% to 3% of their GDP to compete with what Russia and China are doing. So that means job creation. And that means innovation's necessary. So we are in this sort of secular bull market in technology and anything to do with defense spending.
Frank, give me a good book to read. You got 5 books right there, 6 books on the background. That's where people get knowledge. They get knowledge for reading. I want to read the books you're reading. Give me a book to read.
If you want,
this guy knows that. I want to know what he's reading too. Because
okay, I am reading. I am
knows some
reading
stuff.
for fiction because I have to. When you get my age, all the research says you have to start reading fiction and read the book, because all we do is read quick articles on stocks and economy. But the book I'm reading for fiction is called Defense Protocol. It's a Tom Clancy series. It's the most recent, and it's regarding China and Taiwan, and it's regarding Xi Jinping and how difficult, but how he functions and his mindset. So I am reading that for my brain development, but it relates to my businesses of why is Xi Jinping's buying gold? Why is he spending so much money on defense? Why is he basically weaponizing all these countries with one road, one belt, which I like to call the communism, with 100 ports they bought? And they have invested over 140 countries. And now we're seeing socialism and communism rise, democracy falling wherever China lays their footprint, and they're trying to control the commodities. So that's what I'm reading for entertainment and
something light. Yeah. Woo. Yeah.
Light read.
Yes.
Reading.
Yeah.
Maybe
I'll just find a good sports book or something.
Easy reading. And if any of your listeners right now start reading the book and you're talking every morning, they're going to really see how the book comes alive.
Okay, Frank Holmes, CEO, CIO, U.S. Funds, chairman of Hive Digital Tech, dad, Texan, philanthropist, innovator, author, speaker.
He does it all.
And entertainer. And Frank, always great. We'll be hearing more from you. We really appreciate it at the end of the month. Thanks.
I'm
Frank.
sorry I hogged the mic this morning, guys, but
you're awesome.
You're good, man. You're on a roll, Frank. We really appreciate it. Oh man,
thanks, Frank. Fantastic.
All right, thanks, Frank.
Great day.
Smart guy, man.
Oh my
the
gosh.
The facts coming at you.
So much stuff. Like just spewing information at us. Like you could just sit in a room and pick his brain for 2 hours. Like, and you would be way smart. You know how you want to be around people like that make us smarter? He's that guy. Honestly, he's that guy.
I think some credit to our fearless leader, Joel Elconin. Great interview, Joel.
I have to agree. That was a fantastic interview.
I have to agree.
Yeah.
I do a good job interviewing people, he says. No, it's
folks,
good.
I want to step in with a little bit of a programming note here, folks. We have a special guest coming on STN this morning at 10 a.m., Shad Markowitz of the KE Report. Shad is a guy who has been talking rare earths. He's been talking about U.S. antimony, UAMY, for literally months. He has become one of our favorite special guests in the STN room. And we have a little treat, folks, here. Today, we are going to preview a little bit of the STN content. We're going to tease a little bit of the STN content. We are going to do the Shad interview 10 to about 10:30 or so via YouTube. This is premium content that we are putting out there for free on YouTube. So if you don't already subscribe to PreMarket Prep YouTube channel, please do that now, and you'll get a little notification if you hit the bell after you subscribe when we go live with that Shad interview at 10 a.m.
Awesome.
We'll see you over there, folks.
Looking forward to it. I mean, he's been talking these rare earths forever too. And I mean, it's just about like getting out there and obviously getting, talking to different people. And that's what we try to do so much, just not, on all of our network, obviously, is getting information. I mean, information is power. Frank's full of information. Chad, you get these people who just know a lot about specific things, and it's what it's all about. It's getting more information. That's one thing about social media too. You just get information from everywhere as well. It can become overwhelming. So, you got to filter through and find the people who really know their stuff, like Frank Holmes.
Yeah,
like
just
Shad.
One more thing too. I know a lot of people are on mobile, on their phones. They're money managers. They're on the subway to work in New York, and they listen to the show on their phone. Every day by like 10:30, Brent sends a written recap of the show. So if you didn't get a chance to listen to the show, you just want to get the highlights. The Brentster gets you those highlights by 10:30, quarter to 11. And then also we do a daily recap. That recap comes from Josh. He's one of our producers as well. So you get, I know it's written, I know it's different, but people have busy lives and they don't always have time to tune in or listen to the whole show. But if you want a great recap, also hear what's coming on PMP and STN later in the week. It's another added benefit of joining the Stock Trader Network.
Okay. What is that discount code? Is the discount code still active? People are asking.
I don't know.
It is. Yeah, it is. Yes, it is.
We're gonna knock that down eventually here and get rid of that discount code. There it is. PMPSTN for 10% discount. We do this for pre-market prep listeners because you guys have been with us for so long. So we've had this code in there for you. So PMPSTN 10% discount.
And this is like standard promotion material here, but get in at this price. We are going to have to raise the price for the
price is going up. The price is going to go up.
The value that we are creating in there, I would say, with the community gives us so much good ideas. Dennis, Joel, I would say myself, Josh pops in every once in a while. We're just creating a ton of value. We're going to have to raise the price at some point.
Users.
And if you get in right now, we won't raise the prices on you.
Okay.
Can we do a disaster of the day?
Yeah, do it.
Yeah.
ABAT, American Battery Technology Company. Brent, you want to give the details on that?
Sure. So the company in a filing last night, I don't have it in front of me. I'm going off the top of my head here, but in a filing last night, the company said that it was being forced to, after the government kind of looked into some things, it is being forced to terminate. The Department of Energy terminated a grant that the company had. The company had a few $1 million, I think maybe 20 or 25 million left on this grant that it will not receive. If you are an ABAT shareholder or you're trading this one, the little bit of silver lining here is the company has about 50 million in capital right now. They said that despite losing a few million for this grant, they are going to move forward with their major project that they were going to use the grant for anyways. So at least the company right now is saying they aren't too concerned by this, but the market certainly disagrees here this morning, down about 23% or so.
Yeah, and this stock, a lot of these have been popping up, and we've been talking about, this whole group here, and we've seen battery, it started off, obviously, and now it's a battery, lithium, all kinds of stuff just going. LAC probably kickstarted this one, with obviously lithium, and then all the battery plays went as well. Stock was $2 a month ago. So, it's been a huge, huge gainer. And I think we've got to have some perspective on some of these names. Like when your stock goes from $2 to $10 in a month, if you're not ringing the register, you're being pretty darn greedy. So, at a certain point in time, it's why I rang the register on a good chunk of my NKLR yesterday. Obviously we've been trading this from the long side as well. But the stock just went from $11 to $19 in 5 days. Or $21, I got over 21. It's just a matter of being prudent to take some money off the table. When your stock doubles, if you sell half, you're always playing with the house's money. It's not a bad strategy. I used to always employ that. When my stock doubled, I would sell half, and then I've got my original investment back out of it and just riding profits forever. And, sometimes those profits can turn into, big gains over time too. And not necessarily you have to hold any of it, but it's just prudent. In this market, people are just so worried about stocks going up, stocks going up, stocks going up. Eventually there will be a rug pull and it will be vicious. We saw it with the rare earths, just a couple days ago where, MP Materials is kissing up at 100 and then bang, it's down at $86 and falls 15% in 24 hours. And you're like, wow, it's a big fall. Really, when you give perspective, it's not that big of a fall because the stock's just been flying. Oklo, same thing. You don't hardly see it on the chart, but it was ripping, roaring, and rallying yesterday. Got up to 193, then peeled off $20 in about 20 minutes. It felt like, just it was in 20 minutes, but most of the day. So I think it's just prudent when you have irrational exuberance across the board, which we do, to lighten up some trades and to take some money off the table.
All right, we'll go over the ABAT technicals in the STN room. Just a couple programming notes. As we mentioned, Chad will be on. You all can enjoy him. We'll be putting that on YouTube. Tomorrow is options expiration. So monthly ops. So who do we have on? Our option expert, CC Legator. He's going to be doing more things with the Stock Trader Network. So pay attention to that. He'll be our guest. And at 10 o'clock tomorrow in the STN room, we're going to dial up Michael Pachter. Get his thoughts on the recent market action. Folks, that's it for today on Pre-Market Prep. Brent, I hope we followed the outline. We'll be back with you guys tomorrow morning.